hit a beautiful 3-wood to here, and that was for eagle.
Picture this. You're standing on the 16th tee at Liberty National during the Northern Trust. The crowd is watching, cameras are rolling, and you launch a drive that looks awful. It's slicing hard, heading straight toward the rocks guarding the water. Disaster, right? But then, the ball takes a freak bounce off the rocks, ricochets back onto dry land, and somehow ends up just 10 feet from the hole. The gallery gasps, laughter breaks out, and suddenly you're lining up a putt for eagle. That was Cameron Davis, a golfer many had barely heard of, pulling off one of the most miraculous shots in recent PGA Tour memory. Overnight, his name was splashed across highlight reels worldwide. But here's the thing. This wasn't just luck. That shot was a metaphor for Cam Davis's entire career. The underdog who looked doomed to fade, only to shock the golf world with resilience and brilliance. So, who exactly is Cam Davis? And how did one crazy bounce turn into a story of grit, growth, and redemption? When you think of Australian golf, names like Greg Norman, Adam Scott, or Jason Day come to mind. Cam Davis? Not so much. Born on the 21st of February 1995 in Sydney, Davis was never the golden child of Australian golf. He wasn't tagged as the next superstar. Instead, he was the lanky, quiet kid grinding it out in junior tournaments while bigger names hogged the spotlight. Cam Davis grew up in the Sydney suburbs, where golf wasn't exactly the obvious path. He didn't have a privileged golf upbringing, but still had a successful junior career. By his late teens, Davis started making a name for himself in Australia's amateur scene. The breakthrough came in 2015, when he won the Australian Amateur Championship. The very next year, he delivered on the international stage. At the 2016 Eisenhower Trophy, the World Amateur Team Championship, Davis stole the show. He finished as the individual medalist, leading Australia to victory. It was the golf equivalent of planting a flag and saying, "I belong here." That win turned heads, and suddenly Davis wasn't just a promising kid from Sydney. He was a legitimate future pro. Davis turned professional in 2016, and like most underdogs, the road wasn't glamorous. He bounced around smaller tours, grinding through the PGA Tour of Australasia and the Web.com Tour, now called the Corn Ferry. Then came his shocker. At just 22 years old, Davis entered the 2017 Emirates Australian Open, facing a stacked field with the likes of Jordan Spieth and Jason Day. Nobody expected much from him. But over 4 rounds, Davis outlasted everyone, including the international stars, and walked away with the trophy. But winning at home is one thing. Breaking into the US golf scene? That's another mountain to climb. In 2018, Davis won the Nashville Golf Open on the Web.com Tour. That secured his PGA Tour card for 2019. But once again, it wasn't smooth sailing. He struggled with consistency, bouncing between cuts made and weekends missed. The PGA Tour is brutal. Every week you're fighting not just the course, but the reality that one bad season can send you right back to the minors. For Davis, survival became the name of the game. He wasn't a rookie phenom lighting up leaderboards. He was the guy grinding, learning, slowly building the experience he'd need for a breakthrough. In fact, in his rookie PGA Tour season of 2018-19, Davis struggled and finished 160th on the FedEx Cup points list. However, he rebounded the following year, climbing to 84th during the 2019-20 season. This steady improvement laid the groundwork for what would soon become his first big breakthrough. That breakthrough came in 2021 at the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit. Davis found himself in a playoff against Troy Merritt and Joaquin Niemann. The playoff dragged on for 5 holes, pressure mounting, the spotlight burning. Neiman bowed out after the first hole, leaving Davis and Merritt going shot for shot in front of a tense Detroit gallery. Each hole increased the pressure, with pars keeping them locked together until the fifth. Finally, on that hole, Davis ripped a precise approach, set up a nervy putt, and buried it, while Merritt faltered. With that clutch stroke, Davis sealed his first PGA Tour win, a breakthrough moment that announced him to the golf world in unforgettable fashion. For a kid who had clawed his way through the ranks, this was validation. He wasn't just a lucky winner of the Australian Open anymore. He was now a PGA Tour champion. Then, just weeks later, came the shot that made him famous. At the 2021 Northern Trust, Round 1, Cam Davis stepped onto Liberty National's par 4-1-6 and hit a drive that looked doomed. It was slicing straight toward the rocks by the water. The crowd groaned, already bracing for disaster. But then came the unthinkable. The ball clanged off the rocks, bounced around like a pinball, and somehow came to rest just a few feet from the hole. With everyone still buzzing, Davis coolly knocked in the putt for eagle, turning what looked like a certain bogey into one of the most unforgettable highlights of the year. The clip went viral instantly. Commentators called it one of the luckiest shots in PGA Tour history. Fans replayed it in disbelief. And suddenly, for a short while, Cam Davis, TAD, the underdog, was the name on everyone's lips. For a while after, Davis's career plateaued. He had solid finishes, but no major titles. The question lingered: was he destined to be remembered for just one lucky bounce? Then came Detroit, 2024. Back at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, the site of his first PGA Tour triumph, Davis found himself in contention once again. On the final day, he shot a steady 2 under 70 to finish at 18 under par. His closest challenger, Akshay Bhatia, faltered with a 3-putt on the 72nd hole. Davis held firm and claimed victory. It wasn't flashy, it was tough and hard-earned. And it made him the first 2-time champion of the Rocket Mortgage Classic, cementing his place in history. For Davis, it was redemption. Proof that 2021 wasn't a one-off. Proof that he had staying power. By this point, Davis had also earned international recognition. He represented the international team at the 2022 President's Cup. For a golfer once overlooked, it was validation. Standing alongside legends like Hideki Matsuyama and Adam Scott, Davis proved he could compete on the world stage. But golf is cruel. After the high of 2024, Davis once again faced struggles in 2025, battling missed cuts and inconsistency. Critics wondered if his Detroit magic was a course-specific fluke, and yet, that's what makes him fascinating. He embodies the grind and the unpredictability of golf. Some days, he looks like a world beater. Other days, he's fighting to make the weekend. So, what does Cam Davis represent right now? He's the ball that looked destined for the water, bouncing back to set up an eagle. He's the kid from Sydney who shocked the world at the Australian Open. He's the grinder who fought through Korn Ferry and then claimed Detroit, not once, but twice. Cam Davis isn't the flashiest golfer. He isn't always in the spotlight, but he embodies resilience, the ability to turn setbacks into surprises and struggles into breakthroughs. And the most exciting part? His story is still being written. With his talent and toughness, you can't help but wonder, what unforgettable moment might come next? Maybe another miracle bounce, another clutch playoff, or perhaps the breakthrough that cements him among the game's greats.